What's up, everybody? I want to welcome y'all to another episode of Cole's Porch. Today, I want to talk about legacy and roses. One of the things that was that stood out, I'll say, the most at my dad's homegoing service was the fact that everyone kept commenting on the legacy that he left behind. And it's interesting because we're our own worst critics. Um, and so let me backtrack a little bit. So my dad um, started a church or took over a church back in like the mid 80s. I was in elementary school, probably like fifth grade or something. But it was like the mid 80s to the late 90s. Mid 80s to early 90s, he pastored his own church. And the ministry was flourishing and thriving. I remember him doing revivals and anniversaries, and the church would be packed, and we would have, all the services. All the that's what I'm looking for. All the little special things like plays for Christmas or Easter or whatever. Like we did all that. I would lead songs in the choir. I was like 10 years old leading songs in the choir. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember it being, to me, it was big. And some things happened where it didn't work out, and the ministry ended up folding. And he always had a desire to go back into ministry. And he tried it the traditional way a couple of times, but never really quite landed where he wanted to land. And so I was talking with my mom the other day about that. And she was saying how my dad had shared some things with her about he felt like he still had more to do, like he hadn't reached his pinnacle, and that his legacy basically will not live on as far as his church was concerned once he leaves the earth. And I was pondering that because a lot of times we as people think that things are supposed to be like grand and huge, and we don't take the time to look at what's right in front of us, like what we did accomplish, like whose lives we did touch. And so since then, I've just thought about all the words that were said at his service. We actually have a recording of the service, and I've actually watched the service again just to listen to the things that were said about him from other people, not from us, his family, but from other people, lives that he's touched and who were inspired by him and who he made a difference in their lives. And so I was telling my mom, dad was feeling like he didn't reach his pinnacle in the pulpit. And, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It's not for me to say. But his legacy lives on and is huge. He used to do revivals like in different states, in New York, in Texas, Alabama, and a few other states. And a revival is like when a church has like maybe like a week-long thing going on, and people come. Sometimes people travel from out of town to come to the revival or whatever. It's usually like a week-long event, and they have different ministers preaching on different nights, and they may have a main preacher that preaches on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday or something like that, or maybe he'll culminate the services on Sunday. It's kind of like a concert. I hate to liken it to that, but it's kind of like a week-long concert where you got all these, different things going on, and then the big rigs come out on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to like shut the show down. So it's kind of like that. But I was telling my mom, like, I don't think Dad gave himself enough credit, because like the people who he reached at these revivals over the years, people that we'll never know, that we'll never meet, whose lives he affected in that way. My brother's friends from high school to college, people that I know we grew up with, my sister's associates and friends and coworkers and things like that, and our neighbors, children who grew up on the block saw him as the neighborhood father, because he corrected them, and he showed them love. And so members of his church who read certain scriptures because of him, who study certain things because of him. And it's like, ministry is bigger than the pulpit. It's bigger than just being inside the four walls of a church. And I know my dad knew that, but I don't think he really, and this is just my opinion, I don't think he really took the time to assess how big his reach really was and the amount of people that he really affected. And so I wish I had known, that he was feeling that way, because I would have loved to have shared with him, even though in his birthday cards and Father's Day cards every year I would write my own little message in addition to the card, just letting him know, like, man, you affected so many people's lives, so many people's lives are forever changed because of you, and so many people's lives are moving in a different direction because of you. Like, so many people were hurt by my dad's passing. And when I tell you, when we got up and they were like, okay, we're going to let the family leave first from the service, and we got up, because when we sat down, it wasn't a whole lot of people there. Like, people were coming in and, things of that nature. But it wasn't a whole lot of people there. And by the time we stood up to leave the service and we turned around, like, I was kind of like shocked. My mom said she was shocked too. Like, the whole place was full. Every seat in the chapel was full. It was packed. And so that just goes to show you how big of a reach he had. And so I just wanted to share with you, that whoever's watching, listening, that, a lot of times we think that we're supposed to be on this grand stage. We're supposed to be on this, this big platform. And that may not always be the case. Maybe your reach is just whoever it reaches, I've always dreamed big. I've always saw myself doing big things. And, at the end of the day, if that's in my destiny, I receive it. But who's to say that the reach is not supposed to be whoever it reaches? If it's 10 people, if it's 15 people, if it's 20 people that's affected by it, that's the difference that's made in somebody's life, And so I just want to encourage you to not discredit yourself and to not think that, like, oh, my reach isn't big enough, or I'm not reaching, who I'm supposed to reach. You're reaching who you're supposed to reach. One of the things that I've been, like, kicking myself about is not getting started with the stuff that he and I was supposed to do together. Like, I was, he's talking about setting up a YouTube channel so he could start posting his sermons and things that he wanted to teach about. And also videoing him telling his stories, like how he grew up in the South, the Jim Crow South, and what life was like down there during that time when the civil rights movements, like before the civil rights movement got legs, and then during the time that it began to get legs. He was a preteen during that time. And so I was looking forward to, like, recording him telling his stories and everything, because nobody can tell your story like you, And so I've been kicking myself over that. I always think you got more time, think you got more time. And to that I'll say, don't procrastinate. Don't put anything off. If it's in you to do it, find a way to make it happen. Find a way to make it happen ASAP. Don't put it off, think you have more time, thinking that tomorrow is promised, because it's not. Make it happen as soon as possible. And also, a lot of times we be thinking that we're supposed to do everything, like we're supposed to accomplish everything. And sometimes you only can take it so far, and your seed is supposed to pick up the mantle and carry it further than what you carried it. And so that's another thing, you know. My dad took it as far as he could take it. He put a lot in us, my siblings and I. And even his grandchildren, the time that he spent with them, he put a lot in them. And so being a part of his lineage, like, it's the ball's in our court now. You know what I'm saying? And so stop thinking like you have to do everything. Some of it is for you to instill things in your children so that they take it to the next level and that they take it further than you could take it. So with that being said, everybody has a lineage. Everybody has a legacy that they leave behind. Even if you don't have children or offspring, you have a legacy that you leave behind. What will people say about you when you're gone? And I'm just so happy that people had nothing but great and amazing things to say about my dad, which says that he left an amazing legacy behind. And we did give him his roses and his flowers while he was here. I wish some of the other people, like, who spoke at the service, could have given them to him as well while he was here. That definitely would have made his heart smile. But in any case, again, I'll be sharing videos as I'm led to do so. And I'll see y'all next time. Coast Porch, y'all be easy.
He's not asking you to do his will when it's convenient for you. He's not asking you to do his will when you understand it. He's not asking you to do his will when everything works out. God has given you an assignment. Do the assignment. Do what he told you to do when he told you to do it. He'll work everything else out.